Right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakwak Wadash. Double honors to the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the brothers that are doing this work, and truth, sincerity. And we're gonna jump right into the scriptures. It says Proverbs 4:23. Proverbs 4:23. So like Proverbs 4:23, and it says, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Now that word heart, I think is mind. Yeah, that's your mind. It says the heart, also used figuratively very widely for the feelings, the will, even the intellect, likewise for the center of anything. Inner man, mind, will, heart, understanding. So that basically, you could say it's your conscience. Your conscience is basically your inner man that talks to you, that speaks to you. And it says, keep your heart with all diligence, your mind with all diligence, your inner man or your conscience with all diligence. Mind it. Just to mind your conscience, mind your inner man. Meaning your thoughts can lead to wrong actions. Your thought process, your mentality, your way of thinking, that can lead to self-destruction. So for out of it are the issues of life. Let's get the word issues. The sources of life. Let's get that in the NLT. It says, guard your heart or mind above all else, for it determines the course of your life. See, so your thinking, the way you think, can have an effect on how you do things. Go ahead and get a precept. This is Matthew 5, verse 27. The words of Yahweh Shai. It says, ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her has committed adultery with her already in his heart or his mind. You know, the reason I brought that out to show you that Yahweh Shai himself taught that an adulterous thought can lead to an adulterous action. You know, basically, that can with sinful thoughts can do you in, man. And when you're in this truth, you get attacked by all kinds of wicked thoughts, man. You get attacked by all kinds of inner voices, whether they be demons or your own sinful nature. You know, telling you to do things, man. Telling you to compromise. Telling you to take a break. Giving yourself excuses for not being diligent, for not being disciplined. You know, the life of the man of the Lord should be a life of diligence and discipline. An austere life. And it's your inner mind, your inner thoughts, your conscience that can steer you the wrong way. For that, we're going to get at Jeremiah 17:9. This is Jeremiah 17:9, and it says, the heart or the mind is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked, incurably sick. Who can know it? Let me get that in the NLT. The human heart is the most deceitful of all things, the mind, and desperately wicked. Who really knows how bad it is? But I, the Lord, search all the hearts, examine secret motives. I give people their due rewards according to what their action deserves. And that's what it is, man. I, the Lord, search the heart. I try the reins. I test. Salak. I'm going to get that little footnote. Sometimes it's hard to get. Salak. If I don't, yeah. My mind. The most secret parts. I tried the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings or his deeds. And it says his deeds. And as we spoke about in Proverbs 4:23, your deeds come from the thoughts or your way of thinking. How Shai spoke it in the verse that we just got. What was it in Matthew? Well, not Matthew, but Yeah, it was Matthew. Matthew 5:28. So that speaks volumes, man. That speaks of you as a man, the Lord. You have to be extra vigilant of what goes on inside your head, of your self-talk. And there's all kinds of like these self-help books and all that Esau pushes out. They know that self-talk can be either it can help you or be a detriment to you, or it can drag you down. That's another thing that bro's got to be aware of. Beware of negative self-talk, man. Be where you just get yourself down. Everybody's got to be aware of that. You can think negative about a brother who really doesn't deserve to be thought of in that way, because of some perceived wrong that you think he's doing. Just looking for whatever wrong you can find in brothers. Looking for the mote in a brother's eye. Those are negative self-talk. That's negative thoughts as well. So we got to be mindful of what goes on in our heads, man. The scripture clearly and plainly says that. These are just things to think about. Things that I think about constantly. The scripture says, take heed of yourselves. Get that. Deuteronomy 4:9. This is Deuteronomy 4:9. It says, only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently. See that there's a diligence. There's a watchfulness that you got to have towards yourself. There's a mindfulness that you got to have towards yourself. Lest thou forget the thing which thine eyes have seen. Lest they depart from thy heart all the days of life, but teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons. This is our heritage, is righteousness. Our heritage as Israelites is obedience to the Lord. And we are to pay a peculiar and a special diligence to that obedience, as the scriptures say. Let's get Hebrews 16. This is let me see here. It's a lot. Hebrews I think it was 12. There's no 16. I'll start at verse 12. It says, wherefore lift up the hands which hang down, and the feeble knees. You got to shake off that woe's me spirit, that I'm catching all this hell spirit. We all catch hell, man, and no hell, whatever hell you're catching, another brother's catching it just as well and just as severe. There's no one brother that's catching more hell than anybody else. The scriptures say that. Wherefore lift up the hands which hang down, the feeble knees. Beware of those things that drag you down, and make straight paths for your feet. It's that which is laying be turned out of the way, but rather be healed. Let's get to the NLT. It says, so take a new grip with your tired hands and strengthen your weak knees. Sometimes you got to reaffirm yourself in the things that you know. Mark out a straight path for your feet, so that those that are weak and lame will not fall but become strong. Either you're gonna let these things, these negative self-talk, these negative thoughts, weaken you, because that's will weaken you, or you're gonna overcome them and be strong. Let's go back to the KJV. It says, follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. Looking diligently lest any man fail to the grace of Yahweh, lest any root of bitterness springing up trouble you, and there may be defiled. Bitterness is a negative thought, man. Whether it be bitterness toward just things in general, bitterness towards a brother, or even bitterness toward yourself. These can defile you. This can bring you down. And these are things that we got to be aware of in our daily walk, man. Our own thoughts. Keep your heart with all diligence. But with that being said, just a real quick lesson here with the plantation. Most High will and hope is edifying. Instead, I will give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Call halal Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Brothers, keep on pushing. Shalom.